What is up, everyone? My name is Michael Pohl with Bay Area Aquatics, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to take your cell phone videos from looking and sounding like this to looking and sounding like this for not that much money, and with just a couple tips and tricks to make what you already might have laying around work a lot better for your YouTube videos. Alright, so before we get started with this video, I just finished filming the entire thing, and I'm at like 45 minutes of unedited. It's probably going to be about a half hour once I edit it down. Just want to give you guys a couple of quick heads up. One, this is not a video around fish. So if you're here for fish content, I'm sorry, this is not the video for you. This is one of the random videos I get requested a lot, so I decided to go ahead and do it. Two, this video is a little scattered just because I didn't have the time to sit down and do like a big one. But if you're interested in a big, like super in-depth series, like maybe me making a video front to back with the cell phones, I didn't use my cell phone for a lot of this just because I wanted to be able to show you and like, you know, show it. But if you want me to maybe film a whole video and like show my setup filming on my cell phone, I can do that. And then last but not least, there's a couple of random little things that I forgot to mention. When you're filming, you want to remember to use the back camera, not the front. You can use the front, but the front's not good. And then you tend to look at yourself versus, so like, I'm going to look up at the screen now versus looking into the camera. And you don't make eye contact with your audience. On a cell phone, it's worse because they tend to be up in the corner and then you're looking at yourself. So it's almost like you're looking like this, and you look like this the whole time in the video because you think you're looking at the camera, but you're really looking at yourself in the camera versus looking at the camera lens and making that connection with your audience. And you really want to make that connection with your audience. And third, but not last, final thing, this is not the highest end setup by any means. All of this stuff is not top of the line. All of this stuff is, some of this stuff's on the cheaper side, or it's mostly on the cheaper side. Some of it's on like the very low end side, but it works. And for the average person, if you only want to spend 200 bucks to get YouTube going and make some good videos, this is a good setup, and it leaves room for upgrade. Not everything does. So I know there's some people out there that recommend like, oh, go spend $1,000 on a camera. You might not need, or you definitely don't need to. You probably don't need to, because you don't have the accessories and everything to make that camera and utilize that $1,000 worth. So make sure you have everything, and then you can upgrade your camera later. And yeah, also I'm going to leave an entirely detailed and link write-up thing on bayareaaquatics.com. The link will be down in the description directly to the article. All of the stuff will be listed to buy through Amazon, and I'll try to do a little write-up detailed list on like how to actually set it up and all that back-end stuff. Alright, so now that I've rambled on just as much at the front as I have in the back, let's go into this extremely long video. There's a lot of information. It's kind of a little scattered. Like I said, if you want a more detailed, kind of put together piece, let me know. I can definitely do that, especially with everything going on in the world right now. I have a lot of time opening up, and I should be able to do it this week or the week after. But yeah. Alright, so a couple of weeks ago, I was on a live stream with Rob93 and Aquafunk Aquatics, and I believe it was Scott over at King and Queen Cichlids that popped in with a question. We were talking a lot of camera stuff and like YouTube, because that's kind of my background. And one of the things that they asked was, would I prefer a cell phone or a camera? I think Rob actually posed the question, but it was from like Rob and Liz, or like one of them wanted to use a camera, one of them wanted to use a cell phone, etc. And I didn't really have a good answer for them, because I would rather have a cell phone with all the accessories than having a really nice camera on no accessories. And it's something that I realize I get asked all the time in the comments, because my video quality is a little bit better than the average fish YouTuber, just because I do video work for a living, right? So this is my background. This is what I do every day. I have a lot of the equipment already, and there's a lot of little bits and pieces that are like wrong with my videos technically, but they're my YouTube videos. They're not necessarily videos for clients. And so I go, you know what? The average audience is a fish nerd type of deal. They're not going to notice if the lighting is a little bit in the tank, or I think it's in the tank. I can't tell. I might have fixed it. But little things like that, or if the audio is slightly off, it's like, you know what? They can still understand it. I'm still going to post it anyways. So there's little bits and pieces that I just kind of, the videos aren't the best out there. They're not super polished, but I work a lot on efficiency and getting things done in a very streamlined manner. Now, the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I realized I get comments on my channel all the time asking about it. Or I see a lot of new YouTubers starting out that they go out and they spend $1,000 on this camera, and they struggle to use it, or their quality's not good, or it still doesn't fix the problem that they have because they think throwing money at a camera is going to make your videos better. And it might make your videos slightly better, but the quality improvement per dollar can be so much better if you know what to upgrade and what to actually buy versus just going and spending $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on a camera. This entire cell phone setup that I'm recommending is like $230, not including the cell phone. The other thing that's absolutely cool about this setup is it's all upgradable, all interchangeable, and all of it can be used with a camera. So if you ever do decide to upgrade to a camera to get that nicer depth of field, that more blurry background, whatever you might, decide to upgrade for, if you want to go spend that $1,000, you can still use your lighting. You can still use your microphones. You can still use the tripod. You can still use all of that stuff. It's all interchangeable. And while the stuff that I'm bringing today or pointing out for you to buy today isn't necessarily the highest quality, it's good quality stuff to a point for what it's being used for. And it's good quality for the price. That's the other thing. Like I said, I don't want to go recommending a $4,000 setup for the average, YouTuber that's not making any money on the channel or making just a little bit of money when they probably don't need a high-end carbon fiber tripod. They might be able to get by with a $20 to $100 tripod because they're not using and abusing it every day. They're not doing things like that. They don't need a $1,000 microphone. They can get by with a $40 or $50 microphone. So yes, there are definitely some higher end options out there. I'm not saying this kit is the best for everyone, but this kit is going to be kind of like a Swiss Army knife, right? Again, it's not the best for every situation, but it's very, very versatile. It's very, very usable. Parts are upgradable. You can swap things in and out. Maybe you don't like something and you can switch to another part and not have to change your entire setup. It's really, really easy. And you can upgrade bits and pieces at a time. Maybe you go, you know what, I really want better audio right now, but I can't afford to do the lighting and the tripod. So you buy the audio pieces for it, and now you have better audio, and then you can upgrade to the lighting when you get a better chance. Or maybe you already have a piece of lighting that you like. You can upgrade the audio and the tripod, and your lighting can work with it no problem. Alright, so now we're going to actually go into the meat and potatoes of this video. It's going to be longer. I'm not expecting most people to watch it, but the people that are going to want to watch it, I know are going to get a lot of value out of it, so I appreciate those that are staying and watching it. Alright, so first things first, we are going to go off of what the entire setup is based off of, and that's your cell phone. Right, so for me personally, I have the Samsung S10 5G. It's a very high-end cell phone. It's a very top-of-the-line flagship available right now. So the quality on it's very, very good. Now you can use an older cell phone, like if I come over here, this is my old Samsung S10 or not S10 S8 Plus, which again still a higher-end flagship, but it's a couple years old at this point. The technology's outdated on it. It's got one camera on it versus this one's got 3 or 4. There's different options out there. And you can even use a lot older camera or older cell phone or a tablet kind of with a nicer camera, but the tablets tend to have really bad cameras, so just be cautious with that. You might be able to use your old cell phone camera and just dedicate that as your YouTube cell phone camera and still keep your cell phone off to the side. You can use older cameras or not as high-end cameras because the cameras are going to perform pretty well. The nice thing about these high-end cell phones is they perform really well in a lot of settings while the low-end phones might not. But the low-end phones and the older phones still perform really well when the settings and situation is right and it's a nice, easy situation, that it's lit. They're not having to struggle for low light. The microphone in it might not be as nice as the new microphones, but if you're using a different type of microphone and not worrying about the one built into the camera, it doesn't really matter. You can use an older device. I'm going to get a lot of crap for saying this, but in my opinion, on YouTube, video is actually one of the least important qualities of a video. And hear me out on that. Content and being able to understand what you're talking about. You can film on an older camera, you can film on 480, you can film 720, but if people can't understand what you're saying and your content isn't good, you could have the nicest camera, you could be shooting 8K, 12K, 50 million K. If no one can understand you and you're just talking about random stuff, it doesn't matter. But if you have a lower quality camera but everyone can understand you, you're more likely to get views. Now yes, people like the video, people like nicer quality stuff, there's a reason to upgrade. But I think audio, in my opinion, is one of the most important, and then lighting and things like that. All right, so starting off, like I said, with the Cellphone, the first thing I'm gonna recommend is a tripod. Now, I thought I had an Amazon Basics tripod somewhere. They're like 20 bucks. I don't use them very much anymore just because they're very cheap and flimsy. But if you're just using your cell phone and you're using it for like a little fish room setup and you're kind of careful with it, you can get by with it. This is one of those things that I would personally upgrade on the quicker side, or if you ever upgrade to a camera, definitely gonna wanna upgrade a tripod. You can upgrade to not even a high-end tripod. You can get really nice tripods for about 100 bucks. The one I'm using right now is like 95, 98 bucks. You can catch them on sale, get a little cheaper, and it's a good quality. I can put my high-end cameras on it, I can put heavy stuff on it, and it works just fine. But like I said, for the time being, the Amazon tripod will work if you don't have one already, or if you just need to use your cell phone, you just need something to set it up. I know Trent Weldon over at Well Done Tanks, he was using one of these for a while, and he was like, yeah, I really want to upgrade my tripod because I can tell this one's not the best, but I don't want to spend a whole bunch of money. And I was like, trust me, spend about 100 bucks, buy this tripod, and I'm going to link to it down in the description below. Buy it. I have one, I use it, it's what I'm filming on right now, and it's worth the money. It's hard to explain how good a good tripod is worth, or how much a good tripod is worth, until you actually use it. And Trent messaged me like 2 days after getting it. He goes, oh my gosh, dude, this is so much easier. The features on it are so better. I don't feel like it's gonna fall over all the time. It's a lot sturdier. And to this day, he's like, it's still one of these things. And those tripods are gonna last you a long time. It's gonna last you through several camera upgrades. It's gonna last you through several years. You can use it for your personal life. The tripod I've been filming on, I've had for 6 years, 7 years now, at least. I bought it in high school, and I'm still using it, right? And it still works just fine. And I use it a lot, because like I said, I do video for full time, so I use this a couple times a week at least as a secondary tripod. This is the one that gets beat up. This is the one I take hiking, and it's still working just fine. So that $100 is gonna be really, really solid with you for a while. The next thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need something to hold your cell phone on the tripod. There are a lot of options for this. I highly recommend getting one with a cold shoe holder thing. And what a cold shoe is it allows you, it's like on the top of a camera where you put the flash in. If my camera will focus. Come on. There we go. Come on. Please? It doesn't like me today. Either way. Okay, there we go. That looks like it's in focus. But it lets you put a microphone on it, or a light, or anything like that. And I can attach it, and now all of a sudden, it's here, and I don't have to worry about getting a whole nother piece. So when you're doing like a vlog setup or whatever, you can put this here, your phone, in it, put the tripod piece at the bottom, put the microphone in the top, and it's one piece. You don't have to worry about getting an extra bracket for the thing. It lightens the load, and yeah, it's just a better overall situation in my opinion. And the one that I recommend is this Z Stylus one. It's kind of a no-name plastic one. And it's not the most expensive, but it's not the cheapest. So this one runs, I want to say 15 bucks, maybe 16 bucks. But I've used the Manfrotto one before, which is like 20, 25 bucks. I've used a couple of metal ones that are like 30, 35 bucks. And then I've used some really cheap ones that are like 5 bucks. And this is the one I keep coming back to. And there's a couple of reasons for it. It's solid. I've had this one specifically for like 3 or 4 years. Haven't broken it yet. I use it fairly often. Not all the time, but more often than the average YouTuber would. And it's just solid, and it's cheap, and they're available, and it's nice. Basically, the thing I don't like about a lot of the other ones is this one's actually a little bit bigger. So it's a little heavier, a little more heavy duty. But when I put a phone in it, it's wide enough that the phone doesn't shake side to side. That's my hand shaking side to side, but it's actually firm in the little grip here, versus like in the Manfrotto, it's such a thin piece that the phone actually slips side to side. It's not a long enough thing to kind of make the phone sit in one spot. And this opens up, it accepts pretty much any big phone, any small phone. There's a range, you can see it on the Amazon listing, but I really, really like this. And it has a tripod part on the bottom, so you can just screw in a tripod plate for your big tripod, or this little Manfrotto tripod, which we'll talk about in a second, and you're good to go. You don't have to buy any adapter. It's right here, your phone, microphone, tripod, all in one little piece for 15 bucks. All right, now the next one is gonna be this Manfrotto tripod. This is a Manfrotto Pixie. This is gonna cost about 20 bucks, so if you're buying an Amazon tripod, it's gonna cost about as much as it for this small thing. Trust me, it's worth it. This thing is a beast. I love this. Some people prefer GorillaPods, but those tend to break really quickly. I love these. I've got like 6 of these. I use these all the time for all sorts of random things. It's a little tripod. It's got a 1/4 nut on the top of it. It's got a little button you push, and then you can move this around, and it's got the 3 legs. Now, I use it for my vlogging setup. I use it as a handle, right? So I can just hand it out here. I can look at it, and it's good. And then if I need to set it down, I just pop open the legs, and I can set the tripod down, set the camera down, and readjust it with the little ball head piece, and I'm good to go. Now, the other thing that's nice about these is these hold quite a bit of weight. I can put my full-size camera on this. So if I ever upgrade from my cell phone to like a Canon Rebel for vlogging, you can still use this tripod. You're not gonna have to go buy a nicer one. You're not gonna have to buy one that's a little heavier. This is kind of really, good made. And if you're vlogging, you're probably gonna be abusing it a little bit. And so getting something that's a little nicer made, definitely worth it. Highly recommend the Manfrotto Pixie. And that's gonna be the base of our vlogging setup. All right, so now that we've done phone, camera, tripod, etc., we're gonna go into the next one, which is gonna be audio. Now, audio is a huge section. It's something that's very complicated and can be very, very in and out. But there's a couple of things, and this is the setup that I use for my YouTube videos normally. I'm actually filming on a lavalier today. Normally, I used to use this all the time. I switched recently just because I prefer this method, and it's a little easier and a little lighter and a little more flexible. But what you're gonna start out with is the basis, and that's gonna be a microphone, right? So this is a Movo VXR10. These are about 40 bucks, and I'm gonna tell you why I prefer this over like the Rode Video Micro, which is 60 bucks, and in my opinion, not as good. The Movo, for our situation specifically, has a better shock mount. Now, listen to me when I say this, has a better shock mount for our situation. The Rode shock mount is better. It's a lot more bouncy, it absorbs a lot more shock, but when you're using a cell phone, cell phones tend to be very wide angle, and when you're using it on a mount like this, that bounce gets in front, and this little fur cover that helps protect it from the wind and fans and things like that gets in the shot repeatedly. And that's not something that's really great when you've got this big gray ball of something coming out in the top corner of your shot. It just doesn't look good, it blocks it, plus it messes with your audio. So this is actually not as nice of a quality shock mount, but for our reasons, I actually want one like this. If I was using the Rode, I would go and buy one of these just to make it so that it wasn't bouncing. The other reason why I like the Movo over the Rode is it comes with a couple of different adapters as you grow, and it's very user-friendly. So like the cable I've got plugged into it right now is for a cell phone, and it's got one end that's got a microphone, and it's got one end that has a smartphone, and you know which way to plug it in. Because what most people don't know is even though these both look like headphone jacks, there's actually 2 different types of headphone jacks that are very, very important because they don't work with each other. There's a TRS headphone jack, and there's a TRRS headphone jack. And the TRS headphone jack is what cameras use, it's what microphones use usually. It's the kind of more professional, it's only the microphone or only audio, right? It's just one channel. Versus the TRRS has an extra band on it. So it's got 3 black rings around it versus the TRS has 2 black rings around it. The TRRS, which is what cell phones use, your cell phone, your laptop, things like that, probably using a TRRS, it allows to have a microphone going in and headphone audio coming out. So if you're using like a wireless earbud set, you can talk into it and listen at the same time. You can't do that with a camera, right? You can't put a TRS with the plugs, you can't speak into it and use it as a microphone and hear what you're saying at the same time. It just doesn't work. So they're not interchangeable. That's what a lot of people don't realize. And so a lot of people will buy a new microphone, they plug it into their cell phone, and they go, it didn't do anything. It sounded just as bad as before because they didn't have the proper adapter or plug. So the Movo comes with one, right? One it comes with, microphone, smartphone. Plug it into the end of the microphone, plug it into the smartphone, you're good to go. Now, the other reason why I really like the Movo is it comes with a TRS to TRS cable. So if you want to upgrade to a camera or something like that, all you gotta do is swap the cable out and you already have this cable and it's here. You don't have to go buy a new one. Versus like the Rode comes with a TRS to TRS cable. You can buy an extra Rode cable to make it work with a cell phone. So like this gray one is the smartphone and the black one is the microphone part. But this is a $15 cable. So now you spent $60 on this microphone. If you upgrade the shock mount to a downgraded one, but you know what I mean. If you upgrade the shock mount, you're talking an extra $10. Now you're talking $20 for this cable. You're up to like $70, $80 for this microphone when the Movo has all of that for 40 bucks. And it's just a much better, like, you know, cheaper budget alternative for the average person. They don't sound that much different. And a lot of professionals I know actually prefer the Movo because it's better to edit audio off of this one because it has a better frequency range. Now, if you already have a microphone and you don't want to upgrade to something new, but it doesn't work with your cell phone or you're not quite sure, you can get little TRS to TRRS to TRS adapters. And basically all they plug into the cell phone, right? So plug into my headphone jack, and now it's got a microphone and a headphone port. And so I can plug the microphone into the microphone one, and now the microphone's gonna work. And I have these just because like I can plug in my professional lavaliers right into my phone and use them that way. I can plug in other shotgun mics. I can plug in audio recorders so that I can sync audio later. It's super flexible. I like to have one. They're only a couple bucks a piece, but not needed for the setup. But if you have a microphone already, you could do that. Or if you want to upgrade a microphone later on, you already have the cables and adapters and etc. Now another option you can get, this isn't necessarily part of the kit, but it's a good little add-on because it runs about 30 bucks, is a lavalier microphone. This is the Purple Panda kit, and I love this. Again, not the highest quality microphone, but I think it's really, really good for the price, mainly because it comes with the lavalier. It comes, it just dropped. It comes with the lavalier microphone. It comes with an extension cable, which is important because you know you're not always right next to your cell phone. And it comes with all these little accessories on like adapting it to a GoPro and all these little extra clips and the little wind muff for 30 bucks, and it's good to go. And these are designed specifically for smartphones. So you can actually plug this straight into your smartphone without any adapter. But if you're going to use the, if you're going to use this with a camera, you have to have the adapter to go to the camera, but it comes with the adapter. So again, great little budget kit. And I know I'm not making the most sense, and this is kind of hard to understand, but I'm bouncing around and trying to give more of an overview. If you have any specific questions, you can ask me in the comments down below, and I can try to kind of explain a little better. All right, and a couple other pieces for the audio you're going to need, if I can grab it without knocking everything over. You're going to need this extension cable. On my phone's ringing. You're going to need this extension cable, probably. I have this 12-foot Amazon Basics one. It's a TRS to TRS cable. You can get the TRRS, which is the cell phone version, but I like the TRS just because then I can use it for more things without the adapters, for me personally. And they're cheap. They're like 10 bucks, right? So pretty easy to get. Gives me an extra 12 feet of line, so I can move the shotgun microphone, or I can move the lavalier microphone, get it a lot farther. And this is just a little bit heavier of a duty cable than like the one that comes with the Purple Panda. The cable that comes with this is a little lightweight, and I don't like to use it for like the shotgun microphone overhead. And then last but not least, for the bass, and this is going to be way too big, this is a microphone stand from Amazon, and it's actually designed for like on-stage microphones, for like if you're singing, you've got that dynamic microphone, but it has a nice little overhead arm. It's cheap. They're like 15, 20 bucks. They're actually pretty decently made. It's metal, so it's not gonna like break on you. The joints are kind of plastic, so you gotta be a little careful with it. But again, for 15, 20 bucks, worst comes to worst, go buy another one. And what you can do is it sets up, it's got the legs right here, and then it pops overhead so you can bring a microphone over. It's really gonna be a long video. I just had to reset the camera because the timer was running out. But basically, this allows a microphone to be brought overhead, so you can keep a microphone really close to your face without having it in the shot, which is really nice because then you can get the microphone about 6 to 8 inches away. That's the way I usually set it up, so about finger length, and I'll literally have it right just outside of the camera frame. So it's sitting right up here above my head. I usually have to duck my head to get into my seat just because it's that close, but I bring it right below, maybe a little higher just in case the phone flexes or something like that, or if the microphone gets bumped, it doesn't quite come down into frame, but it brings the microphone, you know, 6 to 8 inches away from your mouth, and you want it pointed kind of at your mouth, neck, chest area, right? That's where the sound is going to be the best, and that's why the lavalier microphones are down here, because you still get good sound. Now, like I said, this isn't the best microphone stand. I have nicer ones, but the problem with the nicer ones is they're big, they're heavy, you've got to use counterweights, and a lot of us have smaller places. Like this is my bedroom that I'm filming in. I can fit the other one in here, but it's really hard to move around the big one. And again, you're talking $200 or $300 just for a boom stand. So I actually use this to film every video, even though it's only 15 bucks and I have nicer ones, because again, it's smaller, it's lighter weight, I can keep it here, it all compacts down, and it's just nice to have. All right, now the one thing that I was looking for and I couldn't find it and realized it was still attached is you're gonna need one of these little adapter pieces. And what this does is the microphone screw on the end of this is actually really big. And so most camera stuff is 1/4 which is a lot smaller. And so you need to get the little adapter, and it's a couple bucks, right? It's a little metal adapter, and once you have it, I usually just leave it on here just because otherwise I lose it. And then there's a couple options. If you want, you can spend a couple more dollars and get like a hot shoe 1/4 adapter piece that screws onto the end of it. And then you can use pretty much any microphone that's on a hot shoe. You just slide it in, tighten it down, you're good to go. But you don't need that if you're gonna buy the Movo specifically, because the Movo has a 1/4, if I can grab the right one, has a 1/4 on the bottom of it. So it will just screw straight onto the end of this. The Rode has a 3/8 inch, so it will not screw onto this. You have to get a different adapter. So that's why like the hot shoe can become handy, because then you can just slide, and you can get the 5-pack of these for a couple bucks. You can just slide it in with any microphone that you've got. But yeah, you're gonna need this little adapter piece, really important, because otherwise you're gonna be frustrated trying to figure out why it won't attach, and that's why. So when you're setting your audio up, again, if you're going to be using it, really depends on the microphone, but you just have to watch the TRS to TRS ports. So for like the Movo, if I'm plugging it into my cell phone, or this is the Rode, I grabbed the wrong one. If I'm plugging it into my cell phone and I want to extend it from my cell phone over here on the tripod to the thing here, I actually have to watch this adapter. I'm going to pull this adapter off and plug the smartphone end of it into my smartphone, but if I buy this Amazon Basics cable, this is a TRS. So I need to make sure the adapter's on the proper side. And depending on what cable you get, you might need to put the adapter at the microphone, or you might need to put the adapter at the cell phone. The Amazon Basic ones, if you buy this exact setup, the adapter is going to go by the smartphone. So you'll plug it into the smartphone where it says, and then plug the microphone part into the extension cable, and then plug the end, oops, I just dropped it, and then plug the end of this extension cable into the Movo microphone. And then I like to just wrap the cable around the thing and then run it all the way to the camera, and then it plugs in to the adapter piece. But if you're running it to a camera, then you're gonna need the TRS piece. And in reality, this one actually won't matter because you wouldn't be adapting the camera. So you can put this one at the microphone, or you can put it at the camera. But again, if you get a TRS extension cable, so like a smartphone-based extension cable, you're going to want the adapter by the microphone, because that's where the adapting is happening, and then you can extend that port out. So I know I'm probably not doing the best at explaining that, but that's what you're going to want. All right, so now that we've covered audio and the camera part, now we're going to go into lighting. And lighting is pretty simple to a point, but there's a lot of options out there for lighting. So the panel that I recommend is actually a Neewer panel. It's from the company Neewer, not like a Neewer, like, you know, it's not new, it's not old, but it's from the company Neewer, N-E-E-W-E-R. And this is the older version of it. I don't have the new one, but Trent does. Trent uses it. I've used the new version before, so I know it's good. And yeah, I just don't use these very often. I have a nicer light now, so I haven't bothered to spend the $40 on the new one. But I've used it, like I said, I borrowed it from some friends. And the reason why I like that one is because, one, it's either battery powered, so you can put a battery in the back of it. And, oops, if I get the battery in right. So one downside about these is, you know, and I can turn it on, put it either way, turn it up, turn it down, and now I've got a battery powered light. So if you're doing interviews, like at a convention or in a hotel room or something, or even out in a fish farm where you might not have a power source, or even if you're fishing, if you just don't have a plug handy, you can use this battery powered light and be able to have light. Now, the nice thing about the newer one is it has an AC adapter. That's what the old one doesn't have. The newer one has an AC adapter where you buy the little adapter piece for like 10 bucks and you can plug it into the light, and then you can plug that light into a wall, extension cord, whatever. Just plug it into a plug. As long as it gets power, it'll be on. And the nice thing about that is you don't have to worry about the battery. So if you're in your fish room and that's all you ever film in, just buy the wall adapter. Don't worry about buying extra batteries. Because the downside with the batteries is as the battery gets less and less power in it, you get a softer and softer light. And so you might not notice it as you're sitting there watching, but as you go into editing, from where you start to where you end can be very, very, very different. So that's what I recommend. Now, you can use the light just straight as like this, right? It's a very, very harsh light. I like to diffuse light. I like to have that soft light where the shadows aren't like super hard, like you're at the middle. It's kind of a softer feather. I'm using a fairly small adapter here, so it's not the best example, but it's not a harsh like spotlight effect, right? So to do that, you need it on a light stand. Now this is just a cheap little light stand. They're metal, they're like 20 bucks. They work. They're not the nicest thing in the world, but again, they don't need to hold a lot of weight just because you're not putting a super heavy thing on it. You can always upgrade later, and it works. And then what you need is you need this flash umbrella bracket. Now this is actually for photography, but it's gonna work for the video light. So this screws right on to the end of your pole, or you can actually take this little adapter piece out and let the thing slide in and clip there. I usually just screw it on just because it's easier. And I don't have to worry about losing the adapter piece. It comes with a little hot shoe piece, like we talked about. Now these LED panels have a cold shoe, right? That's what I meant to say. Cold shoe piece on it. Now, you can, like this one has a 1/4-20, so I could in theory screw it straight to this, but then you can't use an umbrella. So now I can put this straight on here, if I can get it to slide on right. I gotta loosen it up a little bit. There we go. Try not to knock that's the downside to the lavaliers, is you've got a wire running to the camera. And so I'm trying not to knock that wire around. So now it's here. And then you can take this photography umbrella. And you can take this photography umbrella and it just opens up. It's like a regular umbrella. But this diffuses the light. So it makes it so it's not as harsh of a light. And now you get that nice soft light. And I know Tozawa Tanks uses one of these. I've noticed it in the reflection of his tank behind him. Uses one of these. The thing I like about this umbrella is all of this, compacts down, right? So it gets nice and small. You can store it real easy. And this umbrella just goes in the little hole right here. And then you just tighten down the clamp on the side. And then you open up the umbrella and you've got your light diffuser. It's just hard to do on camera like this, but it shows on Amazon and it's pretty easy to do. Now, some people prefer the pre-done lights like this. This is a big Fovitech, like light bulb one. So when you open up the thing, if it'll pop open here, I can't even see. I don't know exactly, but you can see there's light bulbs in there and that's what they run off of. And there's all sorts of different options of these online, on Amazon. I use them. I have one, at least I have 5 or 6 of them at my studio just because they're good kind of fill-in lights. But there's a couple of problems with them that I don't like. They tend to be cheaper, which is nice, and they come with a stand usually, and the light bulbs are there, and they plug into the wall so you don't have to worry about batteries. But they don't break down very easy, so you pretty much want to put it together and leave it up. So if you're like me and you're not having a lot of space, I like the umbrella because it breaks down small, and it's nice and compact, and it's easy to just kind of slide under a bed or put on a shelf, versus that's a huge little box thing that's pretty much set up all the time. If you have the space for it, go you, great. I don't, and I prefer the LED panel. Now, the other reason why I prefer the LED panel is, again, I like things that are flexible. So the LED panel costs a little bit more money, but you can use the LED panel for a lot of other things. When I'm taking photos or video of my fish in the tank, a lot of people have trouble with it, and what you need is you need more light usually, and most people have their tanks pretty dark, and so you want to turn off all of the around light so you get the glare off of it, and then you can put the LED panel on the top, or you can attach it to the microphone stand and put it on top of a rimless tank, so it's kind of hanging over, and the light's going straight down, and now you've got this extra light in your tank, and now your camera is going to perform better because it's not struggling in the low light. Cameras perform better with lots of light. So that's how I get a lot of my fish photos. That's how I get a lot of fish B-roll. I almost always have an extra LED panel on the top, and you can, but it's very hard to do that with those big ones because they're big, they're bulky, they're not as centered, they're not as focused, they're usually not as bright. So the LED panels are just easier, and if I'm doing like a fish room tour or something, I can take that with me and slide it into a rack system. You can't really do that with the big ones. Now, there's a couple of different options for LED panels. This is a little Villatrox light. This is the one I take with me when I'm traveling, just because it's a built-in battery, so I can turn it on. Once it turns on, it takes a second to boot up. Come on. There we go. So now it's on, right? It's small, it's compact, relatively bright, and I can just put it on top of a tank and put extra, I don't even know what the tank is. Oh, it's out of reach, so I'm not even going to try. Or I'm not going to do it. I just turned it off because I blinded myself. But it's got a built-in battery that's recharged via a micro USB. So I can plug this into my car, I can plug this into like a battery charger, versus the LED panels from the newer company use the Sony NEF batteries. Now you can get car chargers for those, but they're big, they're bulky, they're expensive, and it's just a whole nother hassle of pieces to lose, things to do like that. And so I take this one with me when I'm shooting. At my house I use the brighter panel. Another option, but again, it's like 40 bucks, and the downside to this is once your battery dies, you have to plug it in, and it doesn't work while it's plugged in, so you have to have it charged. That's the one downside. There are some that you can get that they work when it's plugged in and charging, but again, the newer one's pretty good. All right, and then the very last thing that I realized I haven't covered yet is setting up your vlogging setup, which is another reason why I like this setup, because while it is studio kind of focused, it's flexible, so you can use it as a vlog setup. So again, this little Manfrotto tripod that I talked about, and then your tripod mount, you're gonna plug it in, or not plug it in, screw it in. Then you're gonna take your Movo microphone, put it on the top, screw it in, take your cell phone, put the cell phone on here and screw it in. And then I'm not gonna worry about the cable adapter, because, yes I will. I'll plug it in since it's sitting right here. Oops, I just hit my cable there. Plug it into the headphone jack, and now I have a vlogging setup, right? So this is what I can use to vlog with. And I use the back cameras. Back cameras are important. Back cameras a lot higher quality. You can use the selfie camera. If you're gonna do that, turn the microphone around. But it's not as good a quality. So it's kind of up to you. I like to film the vlogs on the wide angle lens on my Samsung S10. And so I use the back camera because the wide angle on the front's not as good. But yeah, so this is how you set up the vlogging setup. Super easy, super compact, super lightweight. It's not super heavy. I'm not that strong of a guy, so weight's a big deal to me. And it's compact and it's there. All right, so now I know this video is super long. I know I kind of rambled on and on. It wasn't the most planned out video, but I wanted to get filmed and out. I may do a couple more videos of like specific sections on each one, on like my ultimate YouTube setup or whatever, but I just didn't have the time to do that this week. I just needed to be able to sit down and film a video, and I thought this would be kind of a good intro and to see kind of what is out there as far as interest in the video. If there's a lot of interest in it, you know, I'll do it. If there's not a lot, I'll try to just answer the comments. So let me know if you want to see like a more in-depth series, like maybe how I set it up, like I'll do an audio one and a visual one, and then a lighting one, and kind of go side by side. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention was editing, right? So if you're gonna edit videos, most people already have their editor of choice. I know like Aquafunk, Aquatics, and Rob, they said they like to edit on their cell phones. I hate editing on my cell phone. It's the most annoying thing on the planet to me, but I have the software. There's all sorts of software you can get. You can download apps on your cell phone. There's some free softwares you can get on your computer, like iMovie, Windows Movie Maker. You can spend the $20 a month on Adobe Premiere Pro, which is what I use. You don't need to. In fact, I don't recommend it unless you really just want to dive into like the professional setup. You can buy like an old version of Sony Vegas Pro on Amazon for like 30 bucks and then just have it, and that works too. There's a lot of options. I'm not really going to dive into that because everyone has their preferred editor, and I use Premiere Pro. That's what I'm comfortable in, and I don't really know anything else. All right, so this video is going to be extremely long, like I said. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you for watching, and let's leave something special in the comments below, like hashtag rainbow shark, because that's my favorite, fish. So if you made it all the way to the end, hashtag rainbow shark in the comments below. That way I know you made it to the end, and I appreciate it. If you're new here, I usually put out fish type videos, not this YouTube-y type of stuff. So if you're expecting YouTube-y type of stuff, this is not the channel for you, but if you like fish stuff, I'm the channel for you. So hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you get notified every time I upload a video. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you know what to do. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.